Somebody's phone screen just went dark mid-scroll because they got caught staring at a photo of you for longer than they meant to, lost completely in thought without even realizing how much time had passed. That is the exact image Spirit handed me the moment I opened this energy for you today, Virgo. And I genuinely laughed a little when it arrived because the timing of what came through is almost comedic in how oblivious you have apparently been to all of it happening right around you. This person cannot stop thinking about you, not in the casual, passing way that someone thinks about an acquaintance, in the constant, intrusive, can barely focus on anything else kind of way that has clearly been building for a while now, completely undetected by you. I want to walk you through exactly who this person is, what their daily experience of thinking about you actually looks like, why you have not picked up on any of it, and what is building toward finally becoming visible in your shared ongoing story. Stay with me through this entire reading because there is real depth here, and the comedy of your obliviousness is only the surface layer of something genuinely significant underneath it. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the very first impression carries real signal about the intensity of what we are examining. I felt distraction immediately, the specific, scattered quality of someone whose focus keeps getting pulled away from whatever they are supposed to be concentrating on in their actual daily life. This is the energy of someone who has tried multiple times to redirect their attention back to their actual responsibilities, only to find their mind drifting right back to you within minutes. I also felt a quality of mild exasperation present in this energy, directed entirely at themselves rather than at you in any way whatsoever. This is someone who is genuinely a little frustrated with how much space you have come to occupy in their thoughts, given how unintentional and seemingly uncontrollable this preoccupation has become for them over recent time. I want to talk about why you have remained so genuinely unaware of this entire situation, because I think understanding your own blind spot here matters significantly to the rest of this reading. I am sensing you operate most of the time with a particular kind of focus on your own responsibilities and your own goals that makes it genuinely difficult for you to notice subtle shifts in how other people are responding to you. This is not a flaw. It is actually connected to your considerable capability and your discipline. But it does mean that someone who is being relatively subtle about their growing preoccupation with you can fly entirely under your radar simply because you are not actively scanning for this kind of attention. I am also sensing this person has been deliberately careful about not making their interest obvious, which has compounded your obliviousness considerably. They have not been staring at you in ways that would be impossible to miss. Their preoccupation lives primarily in their own private thoughts, in moments when you are not even present, which means there has been very little external evidence for you to actually pick up on. I want to expand on this further because I think the specific texture of your obliviousness deserves more thorough examination. I am sensing that your particular Virgo tendency toward self-sufficiency, the way you have learned to function well without requiring constant external validation or attention from others, has actually made you somewhat less attuned to subtle romantic signals than someone whose attention naturally orients more toward how others are responding to them. This is, in many ways, a genuinely admirable quality, reflecting your own internal groundedness. but it has produced this particular blind spot when it comes to noticing someone's quiet, carefully managed preoccupation with you. I also want to address something about how this person's specific personality has contributed to your obliviousness. I am sensing they are someone who, in most other contexts, presents as fairly composed and contained, someone whose outward behavior does not typically reveal much about their internal emotional experience. This general tendency toward emotional containment has made it considerably easier for them to hide this particular preoccupation because their baseline presentation already involves a degree of reserve that makes subtle additional concealment relatively easy to maintain. Let me speak to what this person's daily experience of thinking about you actually looks like, because I think the specifics deserve real, genuine attention here throughout this entire reading. I am sensing they think about you during ordinary, unrelated moments throughout their day, while doing tasks that should fully occupy their attention but somehow do not, a meeting where their mind drifts, a commute where you occupy more of their thoughts than the actual drive does, quiet moments before sleep where, instead of winding down naturally, they find themselves replaying conversations with you or simply sitting with the specific quality of thinking about you that has become a regular, if somewhat involuntary, part of their day. I am also sensing a particular restlessness connected to this preoccupation, the sense of someone whose thoughts keep circling back to you with a persistence that exceeds what they would consider reasonable or convenient given their current circumstances. This is not comfortable for them. It produces a kind of low-grade frustration, the specific irritation of being unable to fully control where your own mind goes. I want to expand on this further because I think the specific texture of their daily preoccupation deserves more detailed examination. I am sensing they have noticed small things about you that most people would not register. The way you laugh at something specific, a particular phrase you tend to use, small mannerisms that have somehow become unexpectedly significant to them despite their seemingly minor nature. These small accumulated observations have built into a fuller picture of you that occupies considerably more of their mental space than they ever anticipated allowing. I also want to address something about how this preoccupation has affected their ability to focus on other things they previously found engaging or important. I am sensing activities or interests that used to fully capture their attention now compete, sometimes unsuccessfully, with thoughts of you for genuine mental space. This shift, while perhaps minor in any single instance, has accumulated into a noticeable change in how they experience their own daily life, one that they have registered internally even while successfully concealing it from external observation. Does this feel like it is connecting to someone specific in your life right now, Virgo? Has there been a person whose energy around you has felt slightly different lately, even if you could not quite identify why? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear how this is resonating with your own experience. I want to address why this person has kept their growing preoccupation so carefully contained, because I think understanding their genuine hesitation matters significantly here. I am sensing genuine fear of how obvious or overwhelming their feelings might seem if fully expressed, particularly given how unexpectedly intense this preoccupation has become for them. There is a specific vulnerability in admitting that you cannot stop thinking about someone, especially when that admission was not something this person planned or anticipated experiencing with this much intensity. I am also sensing some uncertainty about how you might receive this information, given how genuinely unaware you have remained of any of it. This person has likely wondered whether expressing the depth of their preoccupation would feel sudden or strange to you, arriving seemingly out of nowhere from your perspective, even though it has actually been building steadily and privately for them over a meaningful period of time. I want to expand on this hesitation further because I think it deserves real careful examination. There is a particular kind of anxiety that develops when someone realizes the gap between their own internal experience and what they have actually communicated externally has grown quite large. This person understands, on some level, that finally expressing the full depth of what they feel would require explaining not just the feeling itself, but also why they have not mentioned it sooner, which adds its own layer of complexity and potential awkwardness to an already vulnerable disclosure. I also want to address something about this person's own self-image that has likely contributed to their hesitation. I am sensing they may not typically think of themselves as someone prone to this kind of intense, somewhat involuntary preoccupation with another person, which has made the experience itself somewhat disorienting for them to fully process, let alone communicate clearly to you. This unfamiliarity with their own current emotional state has added an additional layer of difficulty to finding the right way to express what they are experiencing. Inhale with me for a moment, Virgo. I want to speak to specific moments where this person's preoccupation has nearly become visible, because I think these near misses reveal something genuinely important about the depth of what they are managing internally. I am sensing moments where they have started a message to you and then deleted it, uncertain about how to express what they were thinking without revealing more than they felt ready to share. I am also sensing moments in actual conversation with you where they have caught themselves staring slightly too long or losing track of what they were saying because some part of their attention had drifted toward simply taking in your presence rather than focusing on the practical content of whatever you were discussing. I also want to address something about how other people in this person's life may have begun noticing what you have not. I am sensing friends or family members who have picked up on this person's distraction, who have perhaps commented on how often your name comes up in conversation, or who have noticed a quality of preoccupation that this person has not fully been able to hide from people who know them well, even while successfully concealing it from you directly. I want to expand on these near misses further because I think the specificity helps illustrate just how close this preoccupation has come to becoming visible on multiple occasions. I am sensing a particular instance where this person almost said something revealing during a conversation with you, catching themselves mid-sentence and redirecting to something safer, leaving the conversation feeling slightly incomplete in a way you may have noticed without fully understanding why. These near slips, accumulated over time, represent the genuine pressure building beneath their carefully maintained composure. I also want to address something about the specific quality of relief this person likely experiences in moments when they can finally speak about you, even indirectly, to people who already know about their preoccupation. I am sensing these conversations with trusted friends have become a kind of pressure valve, allowing some release of what they are otherwise containing so carefully when they are actually in your presence. This need for an outlet itself confirms the genuine significance of what they are experiencing, rather than it being a passing, easily dismissed interest. I want to describe what is building toward this preoccupation finally becoming visible, because Spirit is showing me genuine, real movement rather than indefinite, comfortable concealment continuing indefinitely. I am sensing the effort required to maintain this level of containment is becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. The accumulated weight of thinking about you this consistently, while continuing to present a more composed, contained version of themselves in your actual presence, is reaching a point of genuine strain. I am sensing this person is approaching a threshold where continuing to manage their preoccupation privately is becoming less sustainable than simply allowing some version of the truth to become visible. I want to expand on this building pressure further because I think understanding its specific dynamics matters significantly here. I am sensing this person has experienced an increasing number of moments where the gap between their carefully managed external presentation and their actual internal experience has felt genuinely exhausting to maintain. Each interaction with you requires a particular kind of effort, monitoring their own expressions, moderating their tone, ensuring nothing slips through that would reveal the depth of what they actually feel. This sustained effort, repeated across enough interactions, produces its own kind of fatigue that is beginning to outweigh whatever protection the concealment was originally meant to provide. I also want to address something about specific triggers that are likely to accelerate this person's movement toward greater visibility. I am sensing moments when you mention other romantic possibilities or other people you might be interested in, produce a particularly intense internal response in them, a kind of urgency that makes continued silence feel increasingly difficult to sustain. These moments of perceived competition or potential loss often function as significant catalysts, pushing someone from comfortable, indefinite concealment toward the more uncomfortable but ultimately necessary territory of genuine disclosure. I want to address what this becoming visible might actually look like in your real, ordinary daily life, because I think the practical shape of it matters significantly here. For some of you, this is going to show up first through small, increasingly obvious signals, longer eye contact that does not redirect as quickly as it used to, a quality of nervousness in conversation that exceeds what this person's usual composure typically allows them to display. For others, this might unfold through a more direct moment, a conversation where this person finally acknowledges, at least partially, how much you have been occupying their thoughts, even if they do not yet feel ready to fully articulate the complete depth of what they are genuinely experiencing. I want to speak to something important about your own response as this becomes more visible over time, because I think your own feelings deserve genuine, thorough consideration here throughout this process. Whatever you discover about this person's preoccupation with you, your own feelings about them deserve full, honest attention, rather than simply reacting to the flattery of being thought about this intensely. I want you to take whatever time you need to genuinely examine your own interest, separate from the validation of learning someone has been preoccupied with you before deciding how you want to respond to whatever becomes visible. I want to expand on this guidance further because I think it deserves real, careful attention rather than being treated as a brief, passing reminder. There is a natural human tendency to feel drawn toward people who reveal genuine interest in us simply because being wanted feels good, regardless of whether genuine compatibility actually exists. I want you to be thoughtful about distinguishing between feeling flattered by this person's preoccupation and feeling genuinely, independently interested in them as a person, separate from the validation their attention provides. I also want to address something about how this groundedness might specifically manifest. I am sensing this person, even in the midst of their own genuine preoccupation with you, has continued showing up responsibly and thoughtfully for the rest of their life, which speaks well of their overall character and their capacity to hold genuine feeling without losing themselves entirely in it. I also want to address something about giving yourself permission to feel however you genuinely feel once this becomes visible, without pressure to perform a particular response, simply because this person has revealed something vulnerable. If you discover genuine, reciprocal interest within yourself, that is wonderful, and you should feel free to explore it fully. But if your honest reflection reveals that you do not share the same depth of feeling, you are equally entitled to that honest response, communicated with the same care and respect this person has shown in finally revealing their own genuine feelings to you. Let me speak to what genuine connection might look like if this mutual interest, once revealed, proves to be genuinely shared on your end as well, something worth real, careful consideration. I am sensing that once this person's preoccupation becomes openly acknowledged, there is potential for genuine, easy connection to develop quickly, precisely because so much private reflection and consideration has already occurred on their side throughout this period of concealed preoccupation. This is not someone arriving at interest impulsively. This is someone whose feelings have already been tested by time and by their own internal scrutiny, which often produces more durable, well-considered interest than feelings that arrive and get expressed immediately without this same period of private reflection. I want to expand on this further because I think it deserves real, thorough examination given how significant this principle is for understanding the potential quality of what could develop between you. Feelings that have been held privately for an extended period, examined and re-examined through this person's own internal process, tend to carry a different kind of substance than feelings expressed in the heat of an immediate, fresh attraction. This person has had considerable time to consider whether what they feel is genuine and significant, rather than simply reacting to an initial spark of interest, which suggests that whatever they eventually express has already survived their own internal testing process. I also want to address something about what this might mean for the pace of connection if mutual interest is confirmed. I am sensing that once the initial barrier of disclosure is crossed, this person, having already done so much internal preparation and reflection, may actually move toward deeper connection more readily than someone whose interest is entirely new and untested. The careful consideration that has characterized this period of concealment could translate into a similarly careful, genuine approach to building something real once the foundational step of honest acknowledgement has finally occurred between you. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with the complete picture Spirit shared today. Someone has been genuinely preoccupied with thoughts of you in ways that have been building steadily and that you have remained almost entirely unaware of due to both your own natural focus elsewhere and this person's careful efforts to contain their growing interest. This containment is becoming increasingly difficult to sustain, and signs of their genuine preoccupation are likely to become more visible soon. Receive whatever becomes apparent with genuine consideration of your own feelings, trusting that interest, which has been held privately and thoughtfully for this long, often carries real substance worth taking seriously. Stay open to noticing what has been right in front of you, even as you continue moving forward in your own genuine, grounded way. If this reading resonated with you today, please share it with a Virgo who might be completely missing someone's obvious, growing interest in them without even realizing it. And let me know in the comments who came to mind as you listen to this entire reading today. I read every comment, and I carry your stories with genuine care long after this video ends, holding space for whatever you are discovering about your own connections right now. Until next time, Virgo, you have been more thought about than you realized, more than you ever could have guessed from the outside looking in. And the truth of that is about to become impossible to miss.